Greetings, everyone. My name is Marcus Benjamin, and I'm the CEO of A&M Career Consulting. And today I have with me a very, very interesting young man by the name of Christopher Irungu. All right. Christopher, how are you doing today?
Hey, Benji, I'm wonderful. And this is such a great opportunity to be with you and to share and discuss. I am doing wonderful. How are you today?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. All right. Thank you for joining the call today and taking some time out of your day to come and discuss with me and with all the viewers a little bit about leadership and what it looks like and so forth. All right. I know that you have been you always been in a leadership role because you're a leader. All right. And just for the sake of this video, we're not going to mention the name of any company. All right, but we'll just talk in general about, your role, what you have done as far as leadership is concerned.
Absolutely.
All right, awesome. So, first of all, leadership. We all hear about it. It's being thrown all over the place. People use it. Companies, pretty much kind of put it at the forefront. Leadership, when you look at every single industry, that being, even in sports, right? You have your leaders, basketball, football, in different organizations, different industries. You have leaders, you have leadership, right? So, and you have been someone who have been in leadership, and from what I understand is that you have a vast background when it comes to leadership. So, with that being said, can you share with us and all the viewers that will be watching this video, can you share with us your understanding of leadership?
Absolutely. Once again, I just wanted to say thank you for this opportunity to be able to share about leadership and particularly my leadership experience. Now, for me, I believe leadership is innate, meaning that it is something that should be felt by people who are leaders. The reason why I'm saying that is because when you work in any environment or when you work in any organization, you have different people who have different ways of dealing or interacting with their fellow colleagues. And in this case, you will find people who just want to keep to themselves. You'll find people who want to stick to one lane, which is, they want to be a specialist. You'll find people who, they are very social with each other. But you will also find one person who is always willing to rally the other people, And sometimes either when it's in a social gathering or it's in a project that everybody is doing, you have this one particular person who, feels the need to be, to take the mantle and lead the team, even if they have not been specifically been appointed. So I believe every person who is a leader, they can feel it in their heart and they have that character and quality to lead people. Now, it's one thing to feel like that. It's also another thing to be able to maximize on that potential. Because I remember I used to have a mentor who used to tell me that, if you're a leader and you're taking a walk by yourself and there's no one who is following you, then you're simply just taking a walk. So I believe as a leader, you should have some followers. It can be one, it can be two, but the fact that you're influencing a group of people, either one or two or more than that, that makes you just basically a leader. But there's such deeper level to leadership than just what it meets the eye. And that's what we're going to be talking about as we go along. So for me, I believe leadership is all about taking the mantle, being the head, being that person who is always championing thought processes and thought ideas and being able to just rally people around a common goal and a common vision.
Okay, thank you. Well said. Appreciate it. All right. So, when you're working in an environment or any industry per se, you have managers and then you have leaders, right? And I think we could both agree that managers are people that manage a project or manage people or manage a situation, right? And that's what they're there for. So is it safe to say that there's a clear distinction between a manager and a leader? from your perspective?
Absolutely. I believe there's a distinct relationship between leadership and management. However, there's also a distinct contrast between both of them. Now, for me, I believe with all organizations, you have a mission, you have a vision, you have a goal. There's something that you have to accomplish as an organization, as a division, as a department, or even as a team. Now, we need people with managerial skills to be able to make sure that not only are we able to function to be able to achieve those goals, but to be able to look beyond those goals to grow the company or the organization from one level to another. That's why we need managers, because managers are people who will ensure that, the timely fashion of the project has to be accomplished. The goals and the vision have to be achieved, and basically just anything that has been set that will make that company or that organization be able to achieve its goal. However, with leaders, that's where now you come and attach a purpose to the goal. This is where you rally people to show them that there's a reason beyond just meeting these goals. Take a case, for example, if today, you're given some money and you're told, hey, we have to build a project of, corporate housing, and this project has to be done by 6 months, and this project has to be furnished, and not only furnished, we need people moving in by the end of 6 months. Of course, you need managers who will make sure that, hey, you know what, by this particular time, after 1 month, we probably have the base. After 2 months, we need to make sure that the roof is done.
Right.
So step by step fashion as to how to achieve those goals. But then a leader is someone who will always let these people know every day that, you know what, at the end of the day, this building will house people who will change this community, who will change this, city, who will change this state, and eventually change this country. So you attach a purpose and you keep on rallying people to believe and to know that there's more to just that project, that goal, or just what you guys are doing. Now, if you can find someone who can mash and blend both, which is management and leadership, perfect. But of course, there will be a difference sometimes where someone is more of a leader than a manager, as well as someone who is a manager and, more of a leader and less of a manager. But I believe when you're a leader in every organization, you have to have a little bit of a balance, which makes a whole
Right.
difference. But that's actually, for me, my opinion and my perspective about leadership and management.
Okay. Thanks for sharing that. Thank you. That was really deep right there. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
All right. So, as we continue the conversation, leadership engagement comes to mind, right? And when we talk about leadership engagement in any organization you take, you have the leader and you have the employees or the subordinates, right? So the leader, and I think it's safe to say the leader has a responsibility not only to be that person, but to be that person that engages with their employees, right? And to make sure that they check in with them, continuously and make sure that everyone is okay, right? And engage with them, even if it's a birthday, if it's a graduation of the employee in graduating, or if it's their kids or whatever the case is. Employee engagement. When you hear employee engagement, what comes to mind from your perspective?
Absolutely. And, that's a very interesting concept, because I remember one time I was following up with one of my team members who was going through a lot with his family. She had so much going on, and I particularly knew every detail of exactly what was going on. And, I felt honored because she was able to share with me, engage me, and get to help me, get to help me understand the situation. However, there's one thing that she said that I will never forget, which is a very great leadership, leadership engagement, lesson. She said, at the end of all this, she said, "Thank you for bringing humanity. Thank you for humanizing the process."
Right,
and
right.
It hit real hard, because I realized that we work in an environment where every day it's all about, meeting the goal, making sure that we hit this point, making sure that, we are always on a roller coaster. But this brings me to the idea of leadership engagement. I believe in this day and age, we have so much that people are going through every day. And, when people come to work, as a matter of fact, I was so surprised that some people use work as a distraction from everything that goes on in their house or in their homes.
Right.
But when I think about leadership engagement, it's all about being proactive as a leader to reach out to your employees, because we can't, in traditional world where, we used to have bosses where if you have issues, you actually are the one who approaches the boss. But for at this day and age, I believe that for every organization, for every department, for every team to be successful, a leader has to reach out. Just the same way companies send their salespeople to find potential clients.
Right.
That's the way as leaders, we should go out there to engage. And when I say engagement, it's just not asking, how are you doing? How's the day going? It's getting to know. Sometimes you may know someone who is bubbly every day, but there's one day that she comes in and she's looking very dull. It doesn't hurt to go and say, hey, I've just noticed that you've kind of changed your demeanor. Is everything okay?
Right.
Now, first of all, that puts a sense of care, in their heart. And, even if they don't open up, they know that someone truly cares because they've observed that there's something going on. And I believe that when you try to reach out to your employees, not only does it show that you really care, but it shows a sense of belonging, a sense of purpose. With that, it creates a sense of being able to be in an environment where your leaders care for you, and you put in more, knowing that even if anything happens to you, absolutely, someone has your back, the organization has your back.
Right.
So I believe all leaders, we should go out there proactively, getting to know, and even this is in the little minute thing, such that, if you see someone wearing something that they haven't worn in in different days, you just go and compliment and say, hey, that's a nice outfit. I believe leadership engagement should not be something major, but everyday lifestyle. We all as leaders need to make sure that it's part of our lifestyle, it's part of our everyday opportunities, because also those are opportunities where you're telling your employees, I'm open. If you need something, come to me, because
Right.
I'm you, So it's a two-way traffic, and I believe that it's a practice that all leaders should take into consideration into their organizations.
All right. Thank you for sharing, Christopher. That was well said. I think leadership engagement is really, really important. And I'm just kind of piggybacking a little bit on what you said, or to reiterate it for the viewers. Leadership engagement is really taking the time to know your people.
Yes.
Right? Taking the time to know what makes them tick, what
Absolutely.
makes them come to work, what drives them, what are their goals, those kind of stuff, and to really get to know your people to a point in which you could identify when things are not going right with them.
Absolutely.
And you said something that is so intriguing. Normally, it will be the employee going to the manager or the boss or, to that leader, right? A couple of years ago, that was pretty much the trend. But in today's age, it's the leader's responsibility, right, to make sure they know their people, because you have passive and you have active leaders.
Absolutely.
Right? And a passive leader won't see those things because that's not one of their concern.
Absolutely.
Right? An active leader who will be with someone that operates with active eyes, right, and operate with a sense of care. Right? Operate with a sense of care and know when things are not going right with a personnel or with their team or the culture within the organization. Right? They'll be able to pick that up because they know their people.
Absolutely. And just to add real quick, I believe that engagement is an opportunity for employees even to bring the best ideas that they have, because especially when you're leading a frontline, employees, they experience things every day, and they can have an idea of any process improvement or any idea of something that can change, the way business is done. So I believe when you engage your team, you're giving them an opportunity to also say, hey, you know what? if you have anything new, I've seen great ideas being birthed from the fact that an environment is such an engagement, centered, environment, and that's how great ideas pop up.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you. Okay, Christopher, as we continue our conversation, I want to take you down a road and to get your perspective and your understanding of a word. And that word is diversity. As a leader, how do you see the word diversity, and how do you operate within an environment where it's diverse? How do you lead a diverse group?
Absolutely. It's interesting that you brought that up, because in the current day and age, a lot of corporations, a lot of companies, a lot of non-governmental organizations, they're so focused on diversity. And, personally, having studied, diversity, and also having done papers and, written research about diversity, I think it's a concept that used to be there before, only that we were not so much aware about it. It was in our all subconscious mindset. But I think the fact that, with the current, trends in business and the current trend of market, it's important to always bring diversity together. Why? Because diversity has a way to bring unity in so many, it's like when you have people from different origins, different cultures, different backgrounds, different beliefs, different, education backgrounds, you create such a unique concept that will be birthed, that will help your organization grow from one level to another. Now, when I think of diversity, I know a lot of people or a lot of organizations right now, the moment you say the word diversity, sometimes the bigger picture that comes into everybody's mind is all about, race or culture or, ethnicity. But, when you look deeper into the word diversity, it's as simple as the way you and I think. There's so many times, or there's so many, opportunities where you introduce a concept, but everyone will just look at it from a different perspective. And that's actually diversity. So being able to include, especially as a leader, being able to bring people from different, walks of life, and just being able to put them together and birth an idea based on how people are looking at things differently, that's magic. And I believe that all leaders need and ought to find that opportunity to be able to bring people together. Again, diversity is not just about color or, culture or ethnicity, but also difference in education background and even experiences. You will be so surprised how sometimes when you bring someone who works in a different organization, just to have a different perspective on what, on what the concept is all about, and they bring up a new idea that no one had ever thought about, because we all have been focused into one industry that this is what we know. But here you're bringing someone from different industry, just to give a different idea of how they look at that perspective. I'll give you a real quick, interesting scenario. So
go for it.
Yeah. So when I was writing my dissertation for my doctorate, I used a lot of scholarly words, and my professor used to tell me, the moment you get to publish your dissertation into a publication, it has to be in a way where anyone who comes off from the street can be able to read it and understand the concept that you're actually trying to put across. So there was a process where we had to write our dissertation in a scholarly fashion, incorporating all these terminologies and being able to put it in a level where our professors could be able to relate. But that was just one of the processes. But then after that, when you have to publish it, I remember he challenged me to get someone from a different field, like medicine or astronomy or science, to be able to read your dissertation and find out, do I actually understand what you're trying to put across? And if they don't, then you failed.
Right.
And I believe that is such a great example of diversity, because this is not diversity of color or culture or ethnicity, but just a diversity in mindset.
Right.
So I believe, coming back to leadership, we all ought to bring people into the teams where you have people from different, just people who embody diversity. And not only that, I believe if you bring people who are diverse in a table where this is a team, they also have to embrace diversity, because it's one thing to be diverse, of a diverse nature, but if you cannot accept and acknowledge and embrace diversity, then there's no value in that, So
Right.
to me, diversity is such a great concept that so many ideas and concepts will be birthed out of the fact that, you've brought people to brainstorm or to work in an environment where they can feed each other with the different vast experiences that they have.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Well said. And I think with when it comes to diversity, I think it's safe to say when you look at a quarterback on a football team,
Mm-hmm.
right? That person is the leader of the team, right? While the game is going on, and that individual has to know, right, who to go to in a specific time, right? Because you have all these players and these wide receivers, might be pretty much after the snap they'll be breaking off, looking for that play. That leader has to know, in this situation, I can get the ball to that person, or to that person, I know they have this little extra something about them, right? So knowing a diverse group of wide receivers or whoever they're throwing the ball to, they know what skill set they have and who they can go to, right? And it's the same concept in the world of work and business, right? In a corporation, you have the leader. The leader has to know who to go to, right? For what, right? If there is a person who's great with editing, right? And there is, let's say it's a publishing company, right? You have someone who's really, really great at editing. You have someone who's great at some other field. If something calls for editing, you're not going to go to the other person who has no idea about editing. You go to the person, right? So and then if it's something that has nothing to do with editing, then you need to go to someone else. So as a leader, I think it's good. It's safe to say you got to identify the pieces that's around you or make up your team, and to be able to pull all those resources, right, to accomplish the common goal. I think everybody knows the goal, but as a leader has a responsibility to pull all those resources, pull all those experiences, right? Pull all those knowledge and those background, whatever people have, to be able to pull from each person and to pretty much accomplish the goal that's set.
Absolutely.
All right. Awesome. So we're going to move on to our next huge word, inclusion.
Absolutely.
So we know in the world that we work in today, in this day, when we look at organizations and everything, there's a big push for inclusion, leading by inclusion, because when being a leader and you have a team, the one thing you want to do is to make sure that everyone feel that they're a part of what's going on.
Absolutely.
Right? And one of the challenges of a leader is to corral everybody and make every single person feel a part of it and not feel left out.
Absolutely.
So when we look at inclusion, from your perspective and from your experience, what can you share with the viewers pertaining to this word inclusion?
So, it's interesting that every time you hear the word inclusion, it's always connected to diversity. And that's because, diversity and inclusion goes hand in hand. You cannot be a leader and say that I have a diverse team, but you're not including them in the decisions or daily day-to-day decisions. Now, if you just want to bring people just to say, you know what, I have someone with a master's degree. I have someone with a vast background in finance. I have someone who has a vast background in marketing. Just for the show of it, and you're not utilizing their skills, then you're actually just not adding value to your team members or to the processes that you're trying to pursue. So for me, when I think about inclusion, I think of every little thing as simple as, this is the question that triggers, what do you think? You know, because the reason why I say that is because we always tend to come up with great ideas. We tend to come up with great concepts about things and processes and goals and things that we want to achieve. But sometimes we do not see, it's like how you say the fine prints, you know, just the same way sometimes we ignore fine prints, it's the same way we ignore, you know, little details about ideas that we come up with, because you never know. Sometimes you might have a great idea, but there's government regulations. Sometimes you might have a great idea, yeah, but you know, you have a great idea, but you realize that maybe the way the economy is going, that might not be the great concept. So I believe that when you have a diverse team, the next best thing that you can do is to include them in the dinner table. I like using the word dinner table because when you bring them to the dinner table, you give them an opportunity to air out either their opinion. And as a leader, we ought to be very careful, because no opinion is stupid. Because, you know, sometimes you may not agree with someone and you just bash them and just, you know, brush off their idea just because you don't agree with it.
Right.
It's important to listen and be able to just fathom the fine line between the reason why this person is thinking the way they're thinking, you know? So, you know, just going back to the experience, or to the word inclusion, if you don't make people part of your decision making every day, you're clearly losing value on your thought processes or even your goals, because you know, to be honest with you, I feel like a lot of employees have great things, because I mean, people come from diverse cultures, people come from diverse backgrounds, people come from, you know, diverse nature. And if you don't suck that idea out of their mindset, a lot of employees are not proactive to come and share their tip because they think maybe they're insignificant. You know?
Right.
So
right.
I think now, looking back at everything that we've talked about, as a leader, when you engage, you're able to get people from different diverse backgrounds and you're able to include them. And in that way, you're able to shoot your goal from one level to another. You know, in my organization, we say going from good to great, because good is an enemy of great. So I believe inclusion is something that we all ought to make sure it's become a lifestyle, a day-to-day culture in our organization. And it doesn't have to be formal. That's another thing. It doesn't have to be formal, because sometimes you might be at the bistro area or at the coffee shop and you see someone who, you know, probably you've worked before together, and you say, hey, I'm actually working on a project. What do you think?
Right.
Again, the words, I mean, the sentence, how or what do you think, is such a powerful statement that you invite someone to actually share their ideas. And from that idea, you can create something that can be just of a magnificent, just something with a big, just something that can just create something that you will never even think about when it comes to where you're trying to take your business. So that for me is what I think inclusion should always be about. But again, the two words, diversity and inclusion, but they work in tandem, just the same way as management and leadership works together.
Right. Thanks for sharing. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. I want to take you down our next road. And when we talk about being a leader, we also need to drive accountability.
Absolutely.
Right? And being a leader and driving accountability, it's so crucial, because as a leader, you don't want to drive accountability that you chase your people away.
Absolutely.
Right? But you want to be able to show them the right path. Right? Or if they did something wrong, you want to be able to say, hey, you know what? This is how you do it. That's how you do it. What is your take on it with accountability?
Absolutely. I believe that as leaders, first of all, we we as an individual or as leadership should be very, very open to feedback, because the way you relate to feedback is the same way you would expect your team to relate, because you cannot be the kind of person as a leader who doesn't take feedback and expect your team to be taking feedback. You know,
Right.
we talk about feedback, it could be feedback about anything. It could be positive or negative. And at the same time, this is accountability. So it starts from us. It starts from leaders. It starts from you as a person being able to genuinely take, accountability and say, you know what, I probably have had an oversight on this. I may have, done things differently. I'm willing to look at it differently and be able to, to be better at what I'm doing. So I think when it starts from you, then it's easier for you to drive that accountability to your team members. And the reason why I say that is because when you lead a team, you set expectations first, because at the end of the day, everyone should be all inclusive about what we're all about. I mean, we will celebrate success, we will celebrate achievements, but at the same time, along the way, success is not a straight path. There will be moments where we will all fall, but at the same time, we will just take accountability and say, you know what, we acknowledge that this is what we did wrong or we did not do right, but we are willing to be able to do it differently. So I believe that accountability is actually a positive thing, but in our current environment, I think leaders or managers have made it feel like it's a negative thing, because you are addressing the person, which is not supposed to be like that, because when you address the person, it kind of creates that boundary where someone will feel alienated and they will not even want to take that accountability positively, But when you first of all create an environment where you know that whoever is coming to give me that type of feedback or whoever is keeping me accountable means well, that makes a whole difference, because whatever you will be told, whatever will be presented to you, you will know it's for the betterment of what you're doing, the process that you're undertaking, or even you as a person. So once you create that expectation, I believe that accountability should also be consistent, because there's no reason why today I'll do something and I know I've done something wrong and you'll come and talk to me about it, but then I'll do something of the similar nature, but you don't tell me about it. And the next time you come and tell me about it, it will create an ideology that there's a problem and it will not be authentic,
Right.
So I believe consistency in accountability is also it's key, because it continues to create an environment where you know very well you're working in an environment that my leaders care about me. They'll always let me know where I'm going wrong, and this is for the betterment of who I am. But also going back to what I said, when you share something with someone to give them feedback in terms of accountability, you actually, as leaders, we ought to actually go and speak to the behavior and not to the person.
Right.
Want to create, because I mean, we all can change behaviors, and you also want to encourage that person that, I still value you, but the way we run things, or the way you could have, I always like to think of it as the best practice. I used to use that word a lot. I like what you've done. It might not be efficient, but the best practice is this,
Right.
That way you're able to separate the two and able to address a specific behavior or a habit that could be improved, or that could be changed, or that could be able to be changed to be something better, So, at the end of the day, everyone should have a sense of feeling that accountability is a good thing, because again, Benji, if I come to you and tell you, I like how you're doing things, but guess what? If you do it this way, it will yield double the productivity that you're having.
Right.
I should be excited about that. And in my previous leadership roles, even in academia, I've had a great opportunity where it was hard. It was hard to take feedback and to be kept accountable. But you always have to remind yourself it's for the good intention. But
Right.
we have a responsibility as leaders to actually create that environment where people truly believe that it's for the betterment of themselves. Because the moment people don't have trust, then even that accountability will not work. It will be more of an attack than just a process of improvement.
Right. Well said. Well said. I appreciate it. I sure, the viewers will appreciate that. It was well spelled out. Just swaying a little bit from accountability, and I think this word kind of goes hand in hand with accountability, because I think it's just the approach that as a leader you should use. Coaching.
Yes.
Managers, as I could say, because I have this thing with managers and leaders, right? And I always think managers, again, just manage a project, manage this, manage that. But a leader is someone, and a manager per se is leads from the top, right? A leader is someone that leads from the bottom, right? And to be able to push their people, right, into the right direction and making sure that they have all that they need to be great. But when you have employees where, a failure happened, right, and driving accountability, we all can agree the coaching approach is key, right? Instead of reprimanding, you approach it with a coaching philosophy. So would you agree, or can you share with us your viewpoint with coaching apart from reprimanding?
Absolutely. Every time I think of coaching as it starts from as basic as relationship.
Right.
When you think of football players, or when you think about basketball, or I'm a huge soccer fan. When you think of coaches are people who have relationships with their team members, and they know them beyond their skills.
Right.
And when I think of coaching as a leader, I like to call it the basic building block has to be relationship, has to be trust, and also has to be authenticity. Because, when you're coming into someone who has done something for a long time and you're telling them how it could be done better, or you're trying to keep them accountable
right.
of what they're doing. I mean, you might be skillful, you might be knowledgeable, you might be, having all the experience in the world. But as you said, the approach makes a whole difference, because you have to earn respect as a leader for even someone to be able to say, you know what, I accept your coaching. Because this is not a mechanical thing. You just don't come to someone and say, you know what, I think you've done wrong here. This is how it's supposed to be done. Let's get on it. No. Your approach should be based on on the things that I've called building blocks. And this starts way before the coaching opportunity starts.
Right.
So
right.
You don't meet with your team member the first day and you go straight into, hey, this is what you're supposed to do, or let me show you how it's supposed to be done. So as we go back to what we talked about, leadership and being proactive as a leader, I believe as a leader, when you notice you have a team that you will be with them for a long time, every day you should develop that culture of getting to know them more, so that when that opportunity for coaching comes up, these people have trust in you. They look at you and they respect you, and they know, what you're saying to me is actually right. The other thing I believe is you should be able as a leader to lead by example.
Right.
In my organization, we always say every day you're on the stage. People are looking at you, people are looking at how you behave, people are looking at how you interact, and that will always have a lasting impression.
Right.
So your character kind of builds up to what that person looks back to when you come to coach them about something. So for me, coaching is not about the moment of coaching. It starts before that, because every day I believe, like for me, within my teams, I like to throw in tidbits every day. You know, I see someone who, you know, has done something great today, and I say, hey, you know what, congratulations on what you did yesterday. You know, there's something, you notice the little things. So
Right.
coaching is an everyday thing, because it's not that one moment where you sit down with your team member in your office and say, you know what, we got to discuss about this, you know. But if you're working in operations, if you're working in corporate, every day you're walking by, you see someone who has done something that is great, or is in an effort to do something that, you know, that he's fully commissioned, or, you know, passionate about, mention it, you know, address it, just put it out there. Every day you will continue to create that relationship that will encompass what we talk about coaching. Because in the current day and age, coaching is completely changing, because we work in an environment where, you know, we have a remote, or, you know, an absentee workforce. You know, sometimes you work in one part of the world and your leader is in a different part of the world.
Right.
You can't tell me that you will sit down with someone over the video like this and coach them if you don't have a relationship with them.
Right. Right.
So coaching for me is an everyday culture. It's a culture that every leader should embed, you know, in everyday lifestyle. When you see something, you know, as, you know, I like how the airport says, when you see something, say something, you know.
Right.
You know, when you have to someone, say something. If you have to, you know, coach right on the spot, coach it, you know. But again, it goes back to relationship, trust, building that trust, and just, you know, having to earn that respect from your team members as well.
All right. Great stuff there, Christopher. Thank you so much for sharing with us. So I purposely waited until the end for you to share a little bit about who Christopher Irungu is, because I wanted the viewers to kind of get an understanding about the whole aspect of leadership, right? And then to get an understanding of who you are. I know normally in a setting, you normally ask a person, hey, tell me about you. In this instance, I waited until the end. So to help all of us understand who this great young scholar is, who is Christopher Irungu?
You know, I like to think of myself as an everyday learner. And, you know, I used to have this idea way before, when I looked at my mentors who were very, you know, well established, or they've achieved, you know, the greatness of their career, or the epitome of what they do every day. I used to think that once you reach to that level, that's a comfort zone that you should be able to just bask in ecstasy, or, you know, just being able to enjoy the fruits of your labor.
Right.
But being in academia for more than over 10 years has helped me to understand that as a scholar, every day is a learning opportunity. And it doesn't matter if you're learning from someone who is well educated, or someone who just had an experience in life, or someone who you meet on the plane, or you drive and you know, maybe you're sitting in traffic, and just anyone. And you can learn from different observations. So I believe, and I've shaped myself to be a lifelong learner, because, you know, I believe that with the current trends, with the current environment where we grow, I mean, where we are growing up in, you know, whether it's politics, whether it's economy, whether it's the corporate world, there's always something to learn. But just a little bit about, you know, just a little bit about myself. You know, I was raised in different countries, and I had the honor of living in very many countries, you know. But I grew up in a household where my dad used to, you know, my dad is very ambitious. Is over. I always think of it as overly ambitious, and, you know, being able to look at his achievements and the things that he has done in his life has been able to kind of pull the, you know, the potential in me to be able to maximize on my potential, you know. And again, in my household, my mom was the kind of person who was very humble. You know, she believed in basic values like kindness, humility, you know, love, you know, being able to be, you know, kind to one another, you know, being able to be the first ones, be selfless to each other. So I believe that I had such a good blend of upbringing that has not only, you know, been able to help me be where I am right now, but also being able to realize that regardless of what you do in this life, the basic virtues and values and character is what defines your success. Because at the end of the day, even if you have accumulated everything that you're born to accumulate, but you're not giving back, but you're not sharing with people, but you're not helping other people grow, and other people, you're raising, you cannot raise people from one level to another, then there's no need of you holding all this. You're not adding value to the community, to the environment, So I've had such a privilege, especially being in different countries and being able to learn from different cultures and being able to just open my mind to I feel like the world is a global stage for me. And, being able to look at the world as a global stage, it makes you, I like to use the phrase, it helps you to break the barrier of assumption in such a way that you're open-minded to the things that are valuable to what you're doing, but also you're open-minded to learning new things every day. So, I feel like I haven't gotten there yet. I believe that, every day is an opportunity to learn. I'm privileged to be able to have gotten to where I am right now. I just completed my doctorate in management and leadership, but I need to share this as well because, I thought going through almost, more than 5 years of higher education, I thought I'm learning to be a better manager and to be a better leader. But the more I got to understand about leadership and management, the more I appreciated being a team member.
Right.
Because I realized with every leader, you cannot be successful without your team members. You cannot be successful, without those building blocks who we call a team. Because those, at the end of the day, those are the ones who carry the bulk of every goal, every mission, every purpose as to why we create the goals and the vision that we have, So it's been a great learning opportunity. And, as we close and as we wrap up, I'd like to ask everybody to embrace the concept of feed forward. I like to think about it that way because feed forward is always being able to be proactive in the thought processes about who we are as leaders. Feedback is the opposite of, feed forward is the opposite of feedback. Just the way you do an act and then you get a feedback from your leaders. Feed forward is you as a person being able to think about it as, what could I have done better? Or what can I do better? So you're sitting down and you're thinking about what you will do, but then you realize there could be something better that you could do. So exploit that difference. Exploit that difference of what you can do and what you ought or may be able to do. And that in itself, for me, it's a concept where every day I live my life knowing that I have a greater potential to what I can do every day. So, it's great to have got to know you and to be able to share leadership skills and leadership values as well. But, this is a journey that we all have to embrace and, be able to uplift other people who are below us or are our team members and be able to just create value in every person that we encounter every day.
All right. So I think one last thing I want to ask you. So is it safe to say that you have taken or you have done some career identification? Because from what I'm getting is that your career is being a leader, right? And utilizing everything that we talked about in terms of inclusion, diversity, leadership engagement, I'm just curious, as you being a leader, right? How does employee recognition, how impactful is that? Employee recognition from a leader point of view, how does that help to impact the work environment and the team as a whole?
It's funny you brought that up. I actually brought it on the relationship between employee recognition and productivity. And not only productivity, but continuous productivity,
Right.
There's nothing as good as being recognized, Benji. And, and not even within organization. Think about it as something as basic as a relationship, whether it's a man and a woman, whether it's a man and a man, a woman and a woman, as basic as that. When your spouse comes and tells you, great job for what you did, I promise you, it fires up something within you that makes you or creates a desire to do more. I don't know about you, but every time someone recognizes me for something that I have done or that I've made effort to do, it just creates something within me that, you know what, I either want to do more or I want to do something else,
Right.
It creates that thirst to be able to just do more. Now, let's talk about employee recognition. Every employee comes every day. Remember, when everybody comes at work, they have things that they've left at home. We encounter everything that, everything, and every time you come home, I mean, you think about the traffic. You think about maybe you've woken up to a bad day, with a spouse. Think about someone who has a, sick child, and you're coming into work, you're focused on giving the best that you have to do. And then a leader comes and taps your shoulder and says, you know what, thank you for that. Thank you for that thing that you did with that customer. Thank you for going above and beyond. Thank you for, not only does it create a sense of belonging and a sense of being valued, but it just sparks up something in you that you realize that even tomorrow, when I wake up and I'm, driving to work, I know someone will recognize my effort. So
Right.
It creates a passion about what you're doing, so you're able to actually have a sense of purpose. Every day you're going to work, you know very well that, you know what, even if I work so hard, even if I go above and beyond, someone will notice my effort, But the reverse to that also is, I believe that every employee, and this is something that I believe that everybody should take into heart, I think we all ought to recognize ourselves before we are even recognized, Sometimes we work so hard and we think that, this is how we're supposed to do. But sometimes we ought to step back and say, you know what, Chris, you did a great job. And for that, you're able to create a sense of personal satisfaction in yourself. And I promise, the moment everybody has that kind of idea to be able to tap themselves in the shoulder and say, you know what, I think I did a great job today, you're firing up something that even when that leader comes and recognizes you, then it becomes a value add, Because again, it's one thing to be recognized by a leader, but also it's another thing that you always recognize in yourself. But if a leader comes and recognizes you, it's just like a top of the cream, like you're just adding a cream to whatever it is that is going on, So for me, recognition and recognition is just something that is so unique. And another thing that I need to add is we ought as leaders to do these recognitions genuinely, because so many other times you can feel when someone is not genuine about this recognition. Someone can come and just say, hey, thanks a lot for what you all do. I mean, that's general.
Right.
Then someone comes and says, thank you for taking care of Mr. So-and-so, a client that we had 2 years ago, and now he has extended our contract to another 5 years. I mean, you are when you're able to attach the significance of what that employee has done, I promise you, it creates a whole bigger purpose and meaning to that person. And in that case, I promise, it will always fire and spark something about that employee that will end up yielding productivity and even just feeling great about the environment that you're working. As I do right now, we have something called when you look at Glassdoor, they have something called Great Place to Work at. And of course, these are so many things that are looked at. These are so many factors that we all encompass. But one of the major factors is recognition.
Yeah.
Every employee wants to know and feel recognized and valued, and that goes to our customers as well. Because out there, it's now transitioning from a world of transaction where I give you the service, you give me the money, but also I'm reaching out to you to say, you've been my client for 5 years. Thank you for making this company such a great deal, and you're part of what we are.
Right.
So recognition is something that continues evolving. I think we all as leaders need to always not only create opportunities, but also find opportunities to recognize, which is another thing, which is, interesting because, Benji, I can come to you today and say, thank you for all that you've done, and I give you flowers. But you probably don't like flowers,
Right.
So when you create a relationship with your team members, you get to know maybe someone just doesn't even want to be recognized in front of people. They just want to be given a, Starbucks gift card, which is their favorite coffee store,
Right.
And then you have employees who, they want to be recognized in front of their peers, So just getting to understand just getting to connect with your team members to get to know, how do they also want to be recognized? Because it's one thing to recognize, but as I say, there's so many facets to recognition that we all need to take responsibility to find out, so that we can not only do recognition, but we can do recognition that are not only meaningful, but purposeful, and that creates an impact.
Well said, Chris. Well said. I know we can go on and on. when we having conversation about leadership and the importance of leaders in any organization, the role that they play. I know this conversation could go on until tomorrow and next week. All right, so it's a forever evolving conversation, and I think that anybody can have, and it could continue going on. But I must say, I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to come spend some time with us and to share your perspective as it pertains to being a leader and what leadership looks like. And I know we touched on a couple of things, inclusion, diversity, and you shared with us your understanding of it and how you have used diversity and inclusion in your everyday life as a leader. So I just want to thank you for taking the time to come and share some good knowledge. I hope all the viewers who see this video, I know you will learn something. I'm not hoping you will. I know you will learn something because the conversation was a really, really good conversation. So, Christopher, before we leave, any last word?
So I believe that, we are all leaders in our own areas and environments, and I believe that regardless of your area of influence, we all have to believe that we have a sense of responsibility towards, our environment, towards the people that we live with, towards the people that we work with every day, So we all need to realize that regardless of everything that we do, it comes down to the basic values and principles of who we are, as a person, Remember what I talked about, being able to be kind, being able to be gracious to people, being able to be that leader who, looks at people's potential and being able to speak into their potential and just raise them as a leader raising, a mentor, So I believe that we all have to self-define ourselves when it comes to basic values and continue being able to be the best of who we can be, knowing that we are being fueled by basic values that we all have. Otherwise, everybody, you can build a skill, you can learn, and get a degree. We can all get as many degrees as we want. We can all work in the most fancy companies and organizations, but, we all have to embody the fact that values and virtues and character is what will continue fueling the leadership aspect and the leadership practice. So thank you so much, Benji. I appreciate your time as well. And I'm looking forward to interact with other leaders as well. So thank you. And I just want to wish you all the best.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, everyone. As we wrap up, just remember, my name is Marcus Benjamin. I'm the CEO of A&M Career Consultant. And today we had the opportunity to spend some time with Christopher Irungu, where we discuss leadership. Please make sure and subscribe. There will be a lot more videos coming out. So make sure you subscribe. So in that way you can be up to date with what's going on here at A&M Career Consultant. And also, if you have any needs as pertains to your career, that being you need some help with your resume, cover letter, LinkedIn profile, anything pertaining to career, please give us a call at 347-248-5727. Our email address is careerteam@amcareerconsulting.com. Our website is www.amcareerconsulting.com. Thank you. Have a great day and see you soon. Okay, bye.